Penalty seized upon by Beardsley.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, my lovely viewers. This is Ralph Onva, and this is the very first episode of this podcast. So, this podcast is a football podcast, which in America is normally referred to as soccer, but in other parts of the world is regarded as football. So, depending on when you are watching or where you are watching from, it could be a good morning to you, it could be an afternoon or an evening. So, you're welcome to this podcast, and we are basically going to talk about football. We are going to do more of banter. I know most of you love banter. Yes, you can't wait for it. We are going to do post match analysis. We're going to do pre-game analysis. Yes, we are also going to delve into a bit of interviews that goes on in and around the stadium. And as the World Cup is coming, as the channel keeps on growing, what is going to happen is we may even visit some of the venues in America or in Canada or even in Mexico to cover some of the games, and then, if possible, interact with fans and also players as well. So all you have to do for me is to like, subscribe, and then turn on post notification so that whenever a video drops, you become the very first person to have a view of whatever content I put out there for you. All right, so this channel is proudly sponsored by Velida Rose Realty. And Velida Rose Realty is an expert when it comes to real estate business right here in Ontario. Yes, you heard me, right here in Ontario. So this her services normally ranges within the region of the SDG areas, Thomont, Dundas, and Glengarry. So if you need her services, whether you are a first-time buyer or you are a senior who is looking to relocate to the SDG area, which is where I live, yes, I will recommend Valita Rose Realty for you. Just contact her. She has all the patience for you. She can do all the history checks for you and help you get that dream home of yours that you have always been thinking of. So you can reach her on 416-317-5777. I'll take that number again, 416-317-5777. So we are proudly sponsored by Valida Rose Realty. All right, so without much ado, we are going to delve into the Premier League. Yes, this channel is all about predictions, banter, post game, and then pre game analysis. We're going to talk about all that. But the international break just ended few days ago, and club football is back. Yes, I know my soccer fans are happy that their club teams are back. Yes, the club I support. Um, if you are watching this video, you don't need to be told. Yes, it's blue is the color, and we are world champions for a reason. But I'm not going to brag so much. Okay, so let's delve into it. The Premier League returns, and mine, oh mine, there are some cagey encounters that we are going to have this weekend. First of all, we have the Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest game, which is an early kickoff. So what I'm seeing here is 7:30 a.m. because I'm in the American region. So it's an early kickoff in the UK, which is, I think, is going to be 11:30 a.m. in the morning, and that's going to be a very cagey encounter. Personally, I think Arsenal are doing something good this season, and we are expecting a lot from them. The coach, Mikel Arteta, he has been able to get all the players he's needed, and for the past 4 5 seasons, he has gotten close to the trophy, but for some reasons, some way, somehow, they are unable to clinch the trophy. So the expectations are very high. Last season, I remember a lot of fans were saying, "Oh, they were a set piece team." And this season, they are not trying to play so beautiful. They are just trying to get the work done. And I think that's the mark of champions. When you look at Liverpool last season, it was not all about playing beautiful soccer. It was all about grinding the results. And that's what won them the league. Even though Arsenal has lost a game this season, it was to the eventual champions of last season. So I still think Arsenal has something to offer, even though when I did my top four prediction, I didn't put them on top. They were on fourth on the log. But looking at the team they are playing, Nottingham Forest, they just sacked their manager, which is Nuno Espirito Santo, and a new manager is coming in the person of Ange Postecoglou. That should be a very difficult game. But the game which is happening at the Arsenal Stadium, I think Emirates, I think it should be a win for Arsenal. Yes, it's going to be very difficult because one thing I've realized in soccer is whenever a team has a new coach, there is that propensity, there is that adrenaline rush for the players to play so well because they just try to impress the coach. And I see that happening. But eventually, there is something about early kickoffs too. Normally, it doesn't favor the big teams, but I see Arsenal winning this game because they can't afford to lose, especially losing their last game to Liverpool. If they drop points in this game as well, it's going to be very difficult for them catching up with the big boys in the league. So I'm potentially going to go for a slim margin win for Arsenal, which is going to be a 2-1. But I won't be surprised if the game ends in a draw simply because Nottingham Forest has a new coach who always likes to attack. Ange Postecoglou is a coach who say you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He's always attacking, attacking, attacking. So I see them also causing a stir there, but a slim margin win for Arsenal, I think will do for Arsenal. The second game in the row, so we have about 4 or 5 games that will be played at the same time, which is 10 o'clock, which is 2 o'clock in the UK. So we have Fulham versus Leeds, and Fulham played Chelsea in the last game before the international break. And boy, oh boy, they were a very difficult nut to crack for Chelsea. Enzo Maresca, he had to tilt his formation, his tactics over and over again before winning that game. And even with that, there were some refereeing decisions that is debatable. You might say I'm a Chelsea fan, yes, but when decisions go your way, you just have to take it. You just have to rejoice. So, Fulham, with their coach Andre Marco Silva, excuse me, who is also a very good manager, and playing against Leeds, who just returned from the championship. They are also trying to find their feet. I think that game should be a win for Fulham simply because of how they played against Chelsea, the character they showed, even though they lost the game, which um, after the game, a lot of people were saying Chelsea cheated and then all that, but they put on a yeoman's job. So I think I'll go for a Fulham win. It should also be a slim margin because I don't see so much difference between Fulham and Leeds. So probably a 2-1 win for Fulham as well. And then we also have Everton and Aston Villa. Boy, oh boy, the team, so far my team of the season. They might not be playing something so nice, but I think um, David Moyes is doing something extraordinary with the current crop of players he has in Everton. Jack Grealish just won the Player of the Month. You have Karen Drisby Hall also balling so hard. And I think that game is going to end in favor of Everton. Aston Villa have a team, but so far it's been shaky for them. I think they lost their last game to one of the newly promoted sides, which was so surprising. And it's been shaky for them. Their goalkeeper has been unstable. Martinez has been unstable this season. So I'm going to go for a huge win for Everton over Aston Villa. I think Everton are the Goodison. No, they've moved from the Goodison Park. Now they are in their new stadium. They should have a very good win over there. Probably a 2-0 or a 3-0 win over Aston Villa over there. And Crystal Palace, one team that has been doing so good from the end of last season into this season. Yes, even though they have sold one of their prolific midfielders in the person of Ebrechi Eze, they are still going good. They are still going good. Yes. Unfortunately, the captain of the side, the former Chelsea academy player, McGahey, couldn't make that move to Liverpool. So that is a plus for them. And their coach is doing so well. He was a former coach of Frankfurt. He won an European trophy before coming into England, and he always tweaks his tactics to suit whatever opponent he's meeting. So I see Sunderland having big trouble at uh, the Palace Stadium this weekend because Crystal Palace have a very good team defensively. They are tight, they are solid. They play a three back with Muniz on the left, on the right hand side. I have him in my FPL, so he's a very good player. You have Magehi, you have the English midfielder, you have Mateta up front, and it's a solid team. It's a balanced team. They gave Pep Guardiola a tough time. They gave Liverpool a tough time this season for the Community Shield. And I don't see anything other than a win for Crystal Palace. If I'm to stick my head out, I'm going to go for probably a 3-1 win for Crystal Palace because Sunderland also have made some new recruitment. And I don't think they are going to give Crystal Palace so much problem looking at what Oliver Glasnach is doing with Crystal Palace over there. And then there is also Bournemouth FC versus Brighton. Yes, Bournemouth. Yeah, the team that has been causing stares from last season and then into this season. Even though they couldn't get a win or even a point from Anfield, which is a very tricky place to visit, they have been a very solid team. Um, they have been doing so well so far this season, even though they lost their first game. I think the second game they won, and then the third game, if I stand to be corrected, it's either ended in a draw or a win for them. And they have players who are even though they have sold majority of their players, like the the defender that had to go to Real Madrid, and then there was Kekes who had to join Liverpool, but they still have a solid team. And one guy that I was surprised had to switch to, I think it was Newcastle or one of the teams, this Burkinabe striker. Um, the name just escaped me. So he also switched teams, and though they have made a whole lot of sales, and also their goalkeeper, who was also a, a formidable team member in the team, in the person of Kepa Arrizabalaga. He has also left the team, but the replacement Petrovic is also doing exceptionally well. If you look at his numbers, you can say he's doing very well for them. So Brighton this season, um, they haven't been really there. Yes, Brighton for me ever since Roberto De Zerbi left to France, Marseille, it's been here and there for them. And going into this game, I don't see them causing so much of a stir for Bournemouth over there. So I see Bournemouth tipping it over Brighton in this weekend. So probably a 3-1 win for Bournemouth over Brighton. Newcastle are playing against Wolves, and Newcastle are a hungry lion after the sale of Isak and then some of their players. Yes, they are coming in so strong this season, even though they lost to Liverpool. Yes, that was a game that the emotions were very high. When you look at a player like Anthony Gordon, who got red carded in that game because the emotions was very high, he couldn't control his temper. And Newcastle, with the signing of the new striker from Stuttgart and then Wisa from Brentford, I don't see Wolves doing anything exceptional in this game. Wolves from last season have been so poor. They only escaped relegation on I think was 2 or 3 days before the 2 or 3 games before the season ended, and I don't see Wolves causing any there. So probably a Newcastle huge win over Wolves at the Newcastle Stadium. Probably, if I'm to stick my neck out, I'm going to go for a 4-1 win over Wolves. And mind you, Newcastle have a very good defense with the likes of Trippier, Shaw, Livramento, Luis Hall, and their goalkeeper Nick Pope, who is a very good shot stopper. I think I see Newcastle winning that game over there. And there is also West Ham United against Tottenham. Hotspurs. Yes, this is a London derby, and derbies don't normally depend on your form or the kind of players you have. It's sometimes the emotions and then how committed the players are is what determines the result at the end of the day. So there's a London derby, Graham Potter for West Ham, and then Tottenham having a new manager in the person of the former Brentford manager. Yes, and it's going to be an emotional game for the Ghanaian um, Mohamed Kudus, who is returning to his former club, West Ham, the team that first gave him his outing in England. Yes, and I hear the the West Ham fans are so pissed with him. They don't want to. They are going to boo at him simply because they didn't want him to cross carpet to Tottenham Hotspurs, because for the past 10 years or for the past 10 seasons and counting, no player has ever crossed carpet from West Ham to Tottenham. So we're going to see how that is going to go over there. But West Ham haven't been so good. Graham Potter, the former Chelsea manager, it's like he's been on a decline ever since. And I personally, I think he doesn't also have the players that he needs to hold Tottenham. So this is so far, when you look at all the predictions I've given, this game is probably going to end in a win for the away team, which is Tottenham, because Tottenham have a very good team. Also with the signing of Xavi Simons, who was initially built to join Chelsea, but now is with Tottenham Hotspur. I think Tottenham have a very good team. They have a solid defense. They have the likes of Sa in the midfield. They have Richarlison up front, Mohamed Kudus, Brendan Johnson on the left, and that is a very solid team. If you are to ask me, I see Tottenham winning this game. Um, give or take, it's probably going to be a 3-1 win for Tottenham over West Ham United. And also there is the last game of the day, which is Brentford Chelsea. Yes, I may be biased in my prediction, but I don't see any way Brentford is going to hold Chelsea after the sale of Jan Wisa and also Brian Mbemo to Manchester United and Newcastle United, respectively. I don't see how Brentford is going to hold Chelsea. Even though Chelsea have reported some injuries here and there, the likes of Cole Palmer is going to sit out of this game. Liam Delap, who is on a 2-month injury after getting himself injured in their last game before the international break, and also one or two players sitting out, the likes of Levi Colwell, who is out of the season. I don't see Brentford having the firepower to stop Chelsea in this game. Yes, Enzo Maresca is in for business. I personally did criticize him even before he started his job at Chelsea. I didn't want him. I thought he was a mid-level manager, someone coming from the championship. But trust me, he has made me a believer over time. Yes, looking at how he approaches the games, even looking at how he talks, he doesn't want to put so much pressure on his players. All he does is go and deliver. And so far, so good. I think Brentford is going to have it very difficult tomorrow. The likes of Esteval, who even scored a goal during the international break, Mark Cucurella, who probably might be sitting out of this game because he has been playing consistently for some time. So tomorrow, I see probably Jarrell Hato playing in place for Mark Cucurella in that game. And then also we move on to the games on Sunday where you have Burnley playing Liverpool, sorry, and I don't see how Burnley is going to stop Liverpool. Liverpool are on fire. Yes, Liverpool are red hot now, especially with the signing of Alexander Isak. And you have the likes of Hugo Etikite, sorry. You have the likes of Cody Gakpo and the evergreen Mohamed Salah. I call him the evergreen Mohamed Salah because his numbers just keeps on going high and high. You don't know when this guy is going to stop. I don't see how Burnley is going to stop Liverpool, even though Burnley is playing at home. Yes, because even Burnley couldn't hold that draw against Manchester United, and I don't see how they are going to hold Liverpool. And finally, there is a Manchester derby between Manchester City and Manchester United. Boy, oh boy, this used to be the talk of the town some few years or some few seasons back, but now things have changed. So you have Man City playing against Manchester United over there, and I think personally, I think this game is going to end in a draw. What I've seen from Ruben Amorim so far is he does so well in the big games. Yes, it's normally the small teams that he flatters to deceive, but when it comes to the big games, he's up to it. And looking at the injuries Manchester City is having so far, and also being all over the place this season, winning a game, I think drawing one and then losing one. I don't see Manchester City beating United. If I'm to stick my neck out, I'm going to go for Manchester United winning this game, even though Manchester United haven't been so good. Ruben Amorim has a very bad record since arriving in England, but I see Manchester United either the worst case scenario. I see Manchester United drawing this game. I don't see them losing. Okay, let's delve into the Ligue 1, France. Yes, we have some spicy games out there as well. Already, Marseille versus Lorient has already started, and it's 0-0, 8 minutes into the game. Roberto De Zerbi's Marseille. Let's see how they are going to. Let's see what is going to happen over there. There is also Nice versus Nantes. Yes, Nice versus Nantes. There is Auxerre AJ Auxerre versus Monaco. There is Lille, Toulouse. There is Brest, Paris, Saint Germain. Yes, the reigning European champions. There is Metz versus Angers. There is Strasbourg, which is Chelsea and next versus Le Havre. There is PSG versus Lens. There is um, Rennes versus Lyon as well. So that is it for the La Liga. And then there is other leagues. There is the Serie A, which I'm going to talk about. We have Cagliari playing against Parma. There's Juventus against Inter. Whoa, that's going to be a very big game. That's a very big game in Italy over the weekend. Juventus against Inter Milan. There is Fiorentina against Napoli. The Antonio Conte is doing something wonderful in Napoli. Let's look out for that game as well. There is Roma versus Torino. There is Pisa versus Udinese. There is Atlanta against Leeds. There is Sassuolo against Lazio. Milan against Bologna. And Milan they are always signing players, but some way somehow they are not doing well. But I'm I have a soft spot for Milan, so I want them to win this game. They have now the likes of Nkunku. They signed the experience from Real Madrid, that is Luka Modric. So probably maybe this season, at least if they can make it to top four and then return to the the Champions League, that's going to be a good thing over there. There is Verona versus Cremonese, Como, that's Fabregas' team against Genoa as well. And then finally, I'll just delve into the La Liga. So for the La Liga, there are games like there's Sevilla versus Elche, there's Getafe versus Oviedo, there's Real Sociedad against Real Madrid, Xavi Alonso's Real Madrid are playing against Real Sociedad. There's Athletic Bilbao against Alaves. There's Atletico Madrid against Villarreal. There's Celta Vigo playing Girona. There is Levante playing Real Betis. There is Osasuna playing Rayo Vallecano. And then there's Barcelona playing against Valencia, which is going to be a very difficult game. Sorry. So Barcelona is playing away from home because their stadium is still not in good shape to take fans. So we're going to see how all these games are going to end. For the Spanish La Liga, you have Real Madrid, 3 out of 3. They've won all their first 3 games, 100% record, scored 6 so far, and then conceded 1. That's very good with a new manager in the person of Xavi Alonso. Barcelona are fourth on the log. They've won 2, they've drawn 1. So they've scored 7 and then conceded 3. Let's see how it's going to go. So we have a very long season ahead of us, and this is just a prediction into how the weekend games are going to go. And after the games, you'll be back here on this channel to discuss what happened after the games, who didn't kick the ball well, who didn't make that save, which referee didn't give a call for a foul, and then all that has to do with all the soccer decisions, because this is Ralph on VAR, where we talk about banter, we talk about replays, we talk about post-game analysis, and then also pre-game analysis. So I All you have to do now is to pick your phone, pick your device which you're watching this channel from or which you're watching this content from. You like, you subscribe, and then you put us on post notification so that whenever a content drops, you become the very first person. You become privileged to see the content, and we grow the community. Yes, with time, we're going to grow the community. As I said from the onset, the World Cup that is coming on, we're going to visit venues in Canada here and probably even travel across the border to Mexico and also to the US to watch some of the games in the upcoming World Cup 2026. So this has been Ralph Onva. I'm going to catch you again on the next episode.